You know, the sun's not up yet. I just finished training, and it's about 6 in the morning right now. I started training at 4, and I don't know. I hear people debating a lot about forms and katas, like that doesn't work in a fight. I think that's kind of. Let me move back. We got cars coming through here, but I think that's kind of almost how we deal with life. Like it's just a misunderstanding. We don't understand what things are really meant for, and so we don't use them right, and we don't practice them right. What is a form? Gosh, all these cars coming through. A form is basically a pattern of movement, or a pattern, right? And what do you use a pattern for, right? Patterns are your habits. So every day you wake up, you drink your coffee, you go to the store, feed your kids. These patterns are a form in your life, right? So when you say forms don't work in a fight, actually the real fight is only forms. I mean, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Now, the other thing is too, you got to really isolate the movements in the pattern. You can't just keep doing it without thinking about what you're doing. That's the problem. Like every movement and technique is supposed to have as much power, balance, and precision as possible, right? And so just isolate one of those pieces of the movement, take it out, and just do that one movement over and over and over in repetition. And that's the same kind of forms that boxers use. And then after you've been able to take out different pieces of it, you start to make new combinations. You don't have to do the form in the order that it was taught to you. That's just the way of remembering it, right? Just like ABC, I can say BAD, I can say, FOX, I can say whatever I want to. And that's how you need to practice the forms so that you really have an understanding. So the form without understanding is the problem. And I think that a lot of people are doing things without understanding what they're really doing. Like, what does it mean to try to be good at martial arts? Like, if you are good at fighting, but you treat your wife poorly, then you're kind of missing the whole point, because what you're trying to do is chip away at the bad pieces of yourself. That's what self-defense is. Self-defense, because you are your own worst enemy, always. The only thing that's getting in the way of you is you. So if you're not chipping away at yourself, then you're not improving. The point is, like now, I'm here, it's so dark, the sun's not up, I've been training for hours, right, by myself, doing what people call forms. But what I'm doing is just repetitiously going from one technique to the next technique. If it's raining on me right now. It washed out my dreads. That's why I look like hell, But if it's raining, if it's snowing, if I, have a problem with my cat dies, or if I break up with my girlfriend, I am still training the techniques every single day. That chips away at myself. What I'm saying to myself every morning is, no matter how I feel, no matter what my situation, I am going to do these techniques and chip away at what my desire is, right? And so when my wife, if she yells at me, what I need to do is chip away at myself. My natural response is to say, hey, what are you talking about? Why are you acting like this? That's my natural response. But the reality is in order to make my life better, I have to resist that natural reaction, sit back and say, hey, baby, my bad, I'm sorry. Because overall, in the long run, the only thing that I want is a good family, right? For her, for me, for everybody. So the way is, that's right, brother, this is the way. The way to really do things is to, when you're practicing every single day, because right now, especially on lockdown, if you're not doing forms, I don't know what the hell you're doing. You might have a heavy bag. That's still forms. It's forms when you're hitting something. You can put the forms. What I like to do is change it up so that if I'm doing my forms, I can put knives in my hand. I can put sticks in my hand. I can do anything. I do it any way that I want to do it. But basically, it's just a way for me. The only person who sees it is me and God. That's it. It's just me, it's God, and myself. And I have that personal time to really kind of evaluate who I am. And as you go through those motions, especially at like this hour right now, your mind will start to really think deeply about what you're doing in your life. Do it before everybody wakes up, over and over again. And then once you go into it deeply, you can see that the world is not really headed in a great direction right now. You got to isolate yourself from the world because the world's opinions are going to try to control and manipulate everything they think that you should be doing, including forms. They put forms in these competitions, right? And demonstrations where you're kind of like, wah, wah. It's not that the form is bad itself, but what you're doing it for, it is bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. What's the point? Just trying to get somebody else's approval all the time. Always searching because of your own insecurities. That's not what it's about. If you really are doing the form only for yourself, you're going to start to find things within yourself that you didn't know was there. Power and problems. And the problems are good. The problems are really good, actually, because what the problems do is they help to kind of take out the unnecessary pieces of yourself that you don't need. So when you see those problems and they appear, whether in the form, because the form only represents your life, your personality. If you don't like holding that stance, then that means you have a problem with your patience, right? Hold it longer. Then later on, of course, you want to, interact with people with the techniques that you've practiced by yourself. But if you haven't practiced it by yourself, then how in the world are you going to be able to do it efficiently, right, with another person? So, everything's important. All the parts of training are important. But what I say for sure is that if you're not practicing a pattern, then you're going to have a hard time understanding your own life. That's just how it works. Love you guys. God bless.